Okay, so if you guys, if anybody can't hear me, just let me know. We're gonna be going over the treatment plan review, and one of the things that is really important for us to know about the review is that it's an authorizing agent for payment of services, just like the treatment plan. It's one of the items that we must fill out if we want our money. If we don't have that filled out, and we don't have it filled out correctly, we're not gonna get paid. So it's a very significant piece of documentation that we have to have. So we all know a treatment plan needs to be, when do we do a treatment plan review? I'll take audience participation.
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months or from what date?
At midday.
At midday. That's the initial day that we see them for the very first time, right? Okay.
If there's a clinically significant change.
Or if there's a clinically significant change. So let's talk about what some clinically significant changes might be.
Change of therapist.
Psychiatric services.
Psychiatric services, right?
Divorce.
Divorce.
They meet their, let's do it positive, when they meet their goals and we need to correct something.
Okay.
When you want to
Okay.
add a goal.
Because they're doing.
You want to add a goal, okay. So how about moving? Could moving be a clinically significant? Okay, keep that in mind, might be on.
It doesn't have to be, right?
Doesn't have to be, so you make the call with your client as to what a clinically significant change may be. So another one, nobody said, really, really important, and you always want to do a treatment plan review is if a person is Baker acted, right? Is that a clinically significant change you want to address and note in your report? Okay, it's got to be completed within 6 months from admission date. And you go back to the problem statement. Now, some of this is going to be a little redundant to the treatment plan treatment plan information that Jeff gave, but you're going to fill in your problem statement exactly the same way. You're going to continue with the problem statement that you already had unless you're changing. So we have two forms. We have the treatment form, the treatment plan review, and we have the treatment plan review new goal. Okay, so what we know is the treatment plan review new goal does not have a signature page on it, but the treatment plan review does. So if first you start off with your treatment plan review, and if you're going to a new goal, you go to your treatment plan review new goal next, and you don't get the treatment plan review signed until you completed the new goal. This was a little bit confusing for me, but I verified this out. And so if you're changing goals, you definitely want to have this second form filled out before you get a signature.
If you add a new goal, does that void the original goals, or are you just adding to
Okay,
the
that's
original
a great
goals?
question. So let me read you this.
Okay.
These are your review type choices. Two of them are very much the same, and Jeff says he's going to take one off. One choice they give you is treatment plan review, period, right? That's what you're doing. The second choice that's very much like that is continue to work toward goal treatment or objectives. Now they're the same. I asked them why we have both on there. We don't need them both. I always check continue to work toward goals and objectives because you're really stating that you're still on track with what you started. Now the other two are prevention plan review or aftercare treatment plan. Those have to do with the YES program, the substance abuse. You're never going to check them. If you need to know how to check them because you're dealing with substance abuse or the YES program, you need to talk to somebody from that program because I really don't know about that. And then the treatment plan review with the revised goal is when, oh gosh, that doesn't answer your question. But your question is a good one, and I got to figure out where.
What is it again? I'm sorry. My question was, if you do a revised new, like if you do a new goal, are you saying you're going to work on that instead of the original goals or in addition?
Is
to
it automatic?
Or
Somebody-
I tell you on how you list
No, I
which
want
ones.
Yes,
It
but
bumps
I
it.
want to tell you that somewhere in this
Yes,
paperwork,
because it
and
bumps it. That's
it
why.
bumps it, yes, but somewhere in this paperwork, and I'll get to it, there's a place
Sorry.
where you're either adding it to or you're
Continuing
replacing it.
plus.
Yes, and as we go through it, I'll see if it'll pop out to me, but yes, that's a great question.
But Robin, so if you have a revised goal, you have to have the treatment plan review as well because you need that
That's because
signature.
Exactly.
Okay,
So that's
so it's a
the matrix.
pair of documents.
If you want to revise your goal, you fill out the second form. The second form does not have a signature page. So you have to do a treatment plan review no matter what first, but you don't get your signatures until you finish your revision page, because of course you have to have that approved by your client and their parents. Any questions on that? It's a little sticky.
I have a question that kind of goes along with her question. So let's say your first goal was, before you did treatment plan review, was anxiety. And so now you add a new goal for, let's say, depression. What I normally do on my treatment plan review is I do my anxiety and depression, and then when you go to your, the new goal page, you list goal number 2. You already have goal number 1 in your original treatment plan, and I think that
Yes, you
Is
have,
that correct?
remember this, what Jeff said, you have to have a goal page for every problem statement you have.
okay, and I think that kind of
Yeah.
goes with her, so if you already have your original 1 goal, I think if you list the goal numbers, that keeps track of which ones you're
Well,
still working on, is that correct?
Yes, but her question is, when do you bump the first goal completely?
Yeah.
Right, isn't that what you said?
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
like-
adding 2, how do
Because
you
if
bump
I
it?
add a goal,
Yes.
especially if it's the YES program or something like that, you're not saying you're only gonna do this now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're doing this, and in addition to that, and I wanted to make sure
There
that
is
I
a
was
place
thinking
for
about
that.
that the right way.
Yes,
Yeah,
and there's
so-
a place for that, as we go through it, maybe it'll come back to me, because that is a great
Sorry.
question. It's a little sticky, because that's what you're doing, you're bumping, you're adding, no matter what you're doing in a treatment plan review. Okay, so let's go on to, I just went through the drop-down boxes. Some of this is kind of basic information, although it was so interesting when I brought this up yesterday to AQI meeting. Let's go to the box that says discharge review phase. It gives you 2 drop-downs. One of them is initial, the other is update. Anybody have any idea what that's for, what it means? What do we write?
The initial one would be whatever date you put on the original treatment plan, updated or new or whatever would be if you're changing it because they need to stay on.
Now, it seems like it's just that simple, right?
It would
Okay.
seem- am I wrong?
Okay,
I'm probably
so when you
completely wrong.
make, no, you're not completely wrong, but there's a little nuance to it. So on your discharge review phase, if you mark initial, let me just see if I can explain. When you put down your initial discharge date, most of us just put down 6 months from when we started the treatment plan review. I don't do that. I always put a year, because my clients are sexually reactive. They're never going away usually within 6 months. So I have a year down there. So if you write 6 months, you can never check the initial review, because you've expired that out. I can check initial because I'm keeping my discharge date exactly the same. It's 1 year from when we started. If you have 6 months, you can't keep initial, because what you're doing, you're updating it another 6 months. Do you understand the nuance of that, basically?
So what do we need to check?
So basically, if you only write that you're doing when your person comes in, you do 6 months, your discharge summary, then you're always gonna check update, because you're adding 6 more months on. If you initially had done a year, then you can put initial, because that hasn't changed at all. Is that nice and clear for everybody? I know it's a little bit, there were so many people just didn't understand that I didn't either. So what do mostly all of us put, 6 months or a year? What do
6 months.
6
For
months.
here, I put a year, but my Challenger kids, I usually go to, I have a set date that I've been using. So when everything starts to expire, it's gonna be July 2015, because they're gonna be there a minimum of 2 years.
Okay, so then you're gonna just put
Yeah.
the same as what you've been doing. Okay, we already discussed clinically significant changes. How about client, parents, guardians' perception of progress? What's specifically notable about that? What could we do on that? Remember, we're looking for fidelity from our psychosocial treatment plan, and we're talking about the client's perception of progress. I mean, the parents' or client's perception of progress. What might we want to really look for in this?
I put quotes.
Quotes, absolutely important to have quotes, and also, when you sit down to do your treatment plan review, you really should have had printed out or open and Loris your original treatment plan, because what you want to do is maybe directly quote the parent, and also you could probably directly, not necessarily directly quote, but directly refer to your original goal and your original objectives to show that the parents are on board. You do this with the therapist's perception of progress as well. Whether it's the parents or the therapist, you want to allude to the fact that you are all keeping that original goal and those objectives in mind, and somebody's mentioning them in the treatment plan review. So there's the fidelity or the the continuity. So it's really good to follow through on that. I'm gonna go back to this treatment plan review, new goal paper. Now, when you do this one, I'm gonna tell you, when I looked through it, what I realized is that this is pretty much, it looks to me almost like the treatment plan all over again. It looks like a brand new treatment plan to me. I didn't see anything in there that, that was different from the treatment plan. I'm just trying to find that paper that answers your question. I'm sorry, I will definitely look it up and get the answer back to you, because I don't see where I have it in here. Treatment plan, continue to work towards. What I'm saying is, I think it goes back to the review type. I think if you say treatment plan review with revised goal, then what you're doing is either one. You could do either one.
It would qualify either way, whatever I wanted to do. Because revised to me sounds like
You got rid of one.
replacing.
And it doesn't, Loris.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
It keeps both, but you can access both of them, the old one and the new one. It must be on this sheet then. What I think it's on this sheet.
Oh, there is one.
There's a
It says
drop-down
continue
box.
treatment plan
Yes.
with revised
Yes,
goals.
that's what it is. On
Okay.
this treatment plan review, new goal,
Somewhere on there.
I think on here it gives a drop-down box that gives you the option of ending the old goal.
It's on the treatment
It
plan
does.
review page, I think.
continue
I don't
with
know
your
which
Okay.
drop-down box it is.
Yes, but it's on one of those
it is.
drop-down boxes that you can clarify it. I saw
Okay.
it in there when I asked Jeff about it, he goes, no, because you're either adding a goal or taking away the old one, but there's a provision for it in there somewhere. Okay. The other thing too is, let me see what else I wanted to say about this. How far back does the treatment plan review authorize services?
The date is 30,
That's,
doing about the 30 days.
is it 30 days on the
Say
treatment plan?
it.
Okay, how far behind retroactive does the treatment plan review authorize services? It does not. It does not. Okay, so the treatment plan review does, but the day you do that treatment plan is the day it becomes active. So there's no retroactive with that. So let's go back to my question that I asked Jeff before. We're on week 3, I gotta get 30, almost 30 days. The client doesn't show up for the session, and now they're there. The treatment plan expired last week, but there was no session last week. Do we have to do a limited authorization?
No.
No,
Not if they're, yeah, not if they're-
no, because there's
Oh,
no
but
session.
unless you're unlicensed and the licensed provider doesn't sign it the day you do it, then you would have to.
Right, very good.
So,
Right, so when does the treatment plan review become effective?
When the clinician signs it.
And the licensed practitioner of the healing arts, it's exactly the same as the treatment plan. If you need somebody to sign that who's licensed, it doesn't become active until that date.
Go back to your question about the third week with the client, you have it prepared, the client doesn't show the fourth week.
Yes.
The
No
treatment plan,
session.
the treatment plan expires, or,
The treatment plan is now expired. Yes, it is absolutely expired after 6 months.
okay, and you were gonna have a review signed on that fourth session?
Yes.
Okay, so then the fifth session, it would be, you don't need a limited service, because there was no
nothing
session.
that
Okay.
needs to be covered, right. Okay, that's just a little tricky, but.
Okay, so I did a transfer
Hmm?
and within the 30 days I just got a goal,
Right.
but I didn't do the treatment plan review right away. So if that is signed just recently, that means I have to retroactive or do the limited authorization for all the sessions that I have.
Well, if you get a transfer, this is a great question too. If you get a transfer and the treatment plan for the old therapist is good for 6 months, and you get the transfer at 4, and you see them for 4 weeks before you get a review signed, but the treatment plan is still good, but you put a new goal, that's a good question, right?
Still seems like it would be covered.
It still seems like it would be covered because they're covered for 6 months, but that is the sticky question. We could
Yeah,
ask
but
that.
that-
Not best
between-
practice then.
That's what I was gonna say, it may be covered under Medicaid payment, but best practice.
Yeah,
I
there's
would
no
probably
done.
go back just because what does it hurt you to go back and do the limited authorizations? You could use one form for a number of sessions. This way we're covered either way.
Except that we're trying to get away from
Yeah.
using lots of limited services,
Yes,
because I think
we
it's a red flag.
Yes.
So I think that's gonna be coming up in our all-staff meeting, so.
Yes, you
I
might,
think I would
maybe
ask
you would
them.
wanna ask Jeff about that for sure, because I don't know which he would rather see, all those done on the file to be safe or not to be.
Mhm.
So,
But if you have a transfer, you are to do a treatment plan review.
yes, no doubt, but what she says is, this is after the fact, it's
It
already
wasn't
done.
within the
Yeah.
30
You
days.
did the goal statement, but you didn't get a chance, you, for whatever reason, you didn't do the treatment plan review, now you gotta go back and do it. And so what's done is done, you gotta figure out which is the best way to manage whatever happens. So you might wanna talk with Jeff. So,
So what is policy then, or is it just best practice to have it done within 30 days? Or is there a set guideline of when we have to do the review upon like the significant event of a transfer?
yeah, that's a good idea, because you know, if you're gonna do that, how does it make you look if the transfer happens and you wait 3 months to do, even if you're
Right.
still, even if you continue with the same goals that the other therapist had, and you don't attend to that to 30, 60, 90 days, I mean, it just shows a little bit of issue with continuity of care and.
But what does policy say? Is
But
it?
Tony just said you have to do the review.
Yeah,
Yes.
Right away,
And
don't
policy
you
is,
require?
it's a
Yeah.
new client to you, so
So
rather
you have
than
to
a treatment plan, you're doing the review,
Right.
so.
I don't
it'll be
remember there
as
being
soon
a-
as possible.
Right,
Yeah, no.
is there a deadline?
I don't remember there being a deadline on there, I read it recently.
No, it's
Hold on.
assumed that you
Assumed.
do it.
Wait, I have
then
the
it must be
treatment plan
limited.
review policy printed out, so let's
Okay.
just take a look and see if we see it.
I don't think it has a time on it.
I think we looked and it didn't say within 30 days.
I thought it was on the
Just
day
best
of the
practice.
transfer, so whatever date the person puts for the transfer is the date you have to do the review. I don't think
No,
there's
I
any.
don't think it's a have to.
You don't necessarily
No?
see them the day that
Bill
they're
is
transfers them. The
No, but
transfer
the
can
first
happen
time you
in a
see
week.
them,
Right.
it's assumed you're
Right.
doing a review, because that's your
Right.
first first
Right.
contact.
So
Yeah,
the
there's
first
no
session
date in
should
the
be
policy,
doing
that's a
it.
good
Okay.
question too.
Yeah.
I'm just
That
gonna
makes
say, you wouldn't really wanna go more than a couple of week or two, but I usually do it the first time I see them, because it's just what you do, you wanna get your own set, you wanna get your relationship with that client, their clinical relationship established with that client, where you're going. Okay, I don't know what else to say about this, because I think I've covered everything on it. The review is a lot like, you know, you're following through on the treatment plan, a lot of the things were exactly the same. Let me just go through the test and see if there's anything else that we missed. One of the questions is, how far back does the treatment plan review go? It doesn't, doesn't go back.
What's the answer?
The same with when you're changing your goal, where do you get your information from when you're changing your goal? From all your normal sources, your parent, your client, you're going back over your treatment plan. A lot of that is very much the same. The licensed practitioner has to sign it. If the client is in the care of Department of Children and Families, the same thing with our treatment plan review is signed by the DCF caseworker, the parent, and any of the foster parent or caregivers. That would be the same for the treatment plan review.
Say that again?
It is, if a client is in the care of the Department of Children and Families and DCF is working towards reunification, the treatment plan should be signed by the caseworker, the parent, and the foster parent or caregiver. I guess if the case plan is termination of parental rights, you certainly would need to have the parent's signature on there. The problem statement is formulated from the referral information, the psychosocial assessment, the client, parent, guardian input, right? Because even when you do your treatment plan, you're still thinking about that referral information. It just forms the entire picture of the client. That's all I can think of. Does anybody have any questions? When the treatment plan comes up in Loris, it already has on it your client's name, let's see what it has here. It has their name, their date of birth, their diagnosis, their existing CGAS. That all comes forward with you. And
Robin, one thing I've run into is that when you're into the second year with a client, it doesn't change over the new goals and the new objectives. The previous ones remain in law, so I find that
Yes, very pain in the
Very
necky.
yes.
It is, that drives me crazy. There's a bunch of things that come up in there, even when you do something with a supervisor, when you do a supervision case review, for some reason that pops up in there too. So
Yeah.
basically, I just,
Problem statement?
no, when you do a supervision case review, or maybe it comes up somewhere, I'm doing treatment plans, I'm thinking, what's that doing here? It's not even
It's a super,
applicable.
is it the recommendations from the supervisor on a supervision?
Oh, maybe that's what it is, yes.
It'll change your evidence by section two,
Or
or something off of a
Yes,
decision form.
and I think I just go in and do you delete that out?
Yeah,
I
you
just
change it.
delete it out.
Just change it.
If it's not correct.
Right. You mean you delete out the goals that are from the previous treatment plan?
If they're not, like, I've deleted out that supervision case review, I just take it out. But the goals from the treatment plan,
Well, when I'm doing a progress note, where the goals usually come up and so forth,
yes.
number one, my problem statement never comes up, and I don't know why it doesn't. And the goals or the objectives that come up are from the first treatment plan.
In the progress note.
And it doesn't change in the
Like,
progress
oh, so
note.
like,
Okay,
this
so-
is an annual. it
You know what,
doesn't bring
Eric
it
is
together.
gonna do the progress note for us. Let's just see if he has anything to
Good
say about
question,
that.
thank
Yes,
you.
yeah.
We've asked that before, I think Jesse, they were
Yeah.
trying to fix it, but I don't think it has been fixed yet.
No.
I'll get through that.
So,
Thanks, Robin.
Yay.
Ah.